Hello and welcome. Today we're going to be talking about unleashing true leadership because I want to help you shatter the shackles of approval, right? So we're going to talk about leadership and how you can overcome those shackles that you built up in your leadership so that you could be more profound and become more effective. Because at this particular stage, true leadership has prioritized popularity over effective guidance. And I want to talk to you about three strategies that can help you get back to being effective in your role as a leader so that we can take a step back from just wanting to be liked to becoming effective. And once you become more effective in your role as a leader, your authority is going to automatically gravitate towards people not only liking you, but respecting you in your role of authority. So today we're going to be talking about these shackles, and I'm going to give you some solutions on how to overcome those shackles so that you can be more effective in your approach as you deal with people on a daily basis. Now, the first thing I want you to think about when you're thinking about, prioritizing effective guidance, first thing I want you to think about is making sure that you establish clear values and principles. And what does that look like to you as a leader? What do you stand for, right? What are you building your foundation on? What are your values? What are the expectations of the people that you are trying to lead? There has to be a clear mission on where you want them to go, why it's important for them to be there, and how you can help get them there, right? And also how they can help themselves get to that place so that they can be more impactful, so they can be, more competent in what they're trying to do. But it all starts with you setting the expectation that, guess what? Hey, these are my values. These are the principles of leadership. Is your leadership going to be an authentic leadership? Is your leadership going to have integrity? Is your leadership going to be resilient? Are you going to have clear expectations of what you want them to do when it comes to, following your authority? Is your authority something that they would welcome following? So the first thing I want you to do, start being more conscious of what your principles and your values are. What do they mean to you? Because in order for someone to gravitate towards what your values and principles mean, it has to align somewhat with what their values and principles are as well. So the first thing I want you to do, establish clear values and principles and your mission for those values and principles. And also ask for feedback on how those values and principles not only, right, agree with you, but how would those values and principles align with the people that you want to be up under your authority or your leadership? That's the first thing. The second thing I want you guys to think about, and this is another thing that you can do, start fostering communication, right? That's one of the biggest breakdowns in leadership. We don't know how to effectively communicate because as a leader, you want to create a culture, right, of people being able to give their honest feedback, being able to give different perspectives on a certain situation or circumstance, right, without feeling that, guess what? Because I voice my opinions, that is going to get me some harsh criticism. That's going to get a slap on the wrist, right? Leadership foster communication. That means we create a culture where people feel comfortable, right, talking about what they agree with and what they don't agree with, right? Because in leadership, feedback is the most vital thing that you need so that you can stay abreast of what's lacking, what's not lacking, and what's working and what's not working in your leadership. And the more you bridge a culture of people, talking about how they feel in that particular instance, creating forums where everybody can sit down and collaborate and voice their opinions, whether they're right or whether they're wrong, that does not negate the fact that there are valid opinions and assumptions based on their perspective on how they look at a certain situation. So as a leader, you got to be open to that healthy dialogue, right? Put those opinions and perspectives on the table. And as a collective whole, Look at those, grab the things that resonate, grab the things that are good about it, and collaborate and put all those perspectives together. That's what's going to make your leadership style and your leadership approach more effective, right? Because a lot of time we get to the place where we want people to like us so bad, we forget that, guess what, as a leader or as an authority figure, you're going to have those hard conversations. Nobody wants to have hard conversations, but as a leader, it is your responsibility as a leader to dissect and have those open-ended conversations, regardless of whether those conversation is going to be in a good light or not. Because what we're tending to do as leaders, we're congratulating and patting people on the back for bad behavior, right? But because of the communication you as a leader has distributed and displayed with them, they feel like that is acceptable, right? So leaders, you have got to start fostering better ways of communicating the good, the bad, the ugly with your teams, so they'll understand, regardless of whether I agree with it or not, I know that my leader is going to be open, candid, and honest with me. What that does, that makes them respect you even more. So that's the second thing. Create a culture to foster effective communication. The third thing I want you guys to think about, leaders, you have got to start leading by example, right? I see it oftentimes, us as leaders, we say that we want people with integrity. We want people to be resilient. We want to work with people that are authentic, that really believes in my vision, my mission. They're clear on what my values are and what my goals are. But are you actually walking into the values and principles that you want them to walk in, right? Are you leading the way by example? Are you displaying resilience? Are you displaying authenticity? Are you displaying integrity? What are you leading? Are you effectively communicating? Are you addressing things as they happen, or are you waiting till those things fester over and creating uncomfortable situations for everyone involved? So leaders, you have got to be leading by example, right? So what does that look like for you? That's one of the things as leaders you're going to have to take time to define. Hey, number one, am I clear on what my values and principles are, right? When I got into my role as a leader, at that particular time, my values and my principles may have been one thing, but do my values and principles still align with the direction I'm trying to lead people in? So as a leader, make sure you're thinking about those things. Get clear on your values and principles, and go back to the drawing board and evaluate yourself. Analyze your leadership role. Ask yourself the questions. Do I have the characteristics of being an effective leader? Are my characteristics aligning with my values and my principles? Are my characteristics aligning with the way I foster communication? Are my values and principles or my characteristics aligning with the example that I am displaying for the people that I want to lead? Look, leaders, it's time for you to shatter the shackles of approval, because it's bigger than being liked. When we focus on, or we popularize being liked over effective guidance, people are not growing. And so as a leader, these are three things that I want you to think about. If you're in the role of a leader, establish clear principles and values. That means setting clear expectations. Number two, foster communication. Create a culture where everybody feels like they can approach a conversation with you, that they feel like they can say what they feel, right, without feeling like they're going to be chastised, right? Everybody has a different opinion and a different perspective. Doesn't mean it's right or it's wrong. It's how they perceive something. But is your communication effective enough where you can understand? They may not see it how I see it, but how can we put what their perspective is and what my perspective is in a bowl and collaboratively come out and pick the best parts of it so we can bridge or make something good from it? And the third thing, leaders, make sure that you are leading by example. You can't set expectations of them doing something that you're not displaying. A lot of the time, leaders, we fall by the wayside because we're expecting them to be authentic. We're expecting them to be honest. We're expecting them to have integrity. We're expecting them to like people. And we're walking contrary to what we're expecting them. So, leaders, I hope this helped you. Go out and unleash your true leadership and tackle being light and start looking at leadership from the standpoint that you want to be more effective in your role as a leader. Look, I'll talk to you guys again on the next video. Hope this helps.